Good morning, everybody. This is Chef Patrick. We're making chocolate chip cookies today. I'm making these from my home kitchen, and I just thought I would bring this to you sort of a step at a time. We're going to review it in class, so we'll go a little more into detail. But I wanted to give you a demonstration that when we start the day for the lab, you could watch this video first so you have an understanding of what you're doing, because it's going to be very difficult to do a demonstration where everybody can see and maintain social distancing. So the recipe calls for 4 ounces of butter, which I have in the bowl there. I diced it so it could start to warm a little bit so we could blend it. Now 4 ounces of butter is also considered a stick of butter. So there's a stick, it's a 4 ounce or a quarter pound. So I sliced it, I put it in the bowl, and it's warm, so it's pliable. And then we're going to add white sugar and brown sugar. So it's 3 ounces of white sugar, 3 ounces of brown sugar, and this is by volume. So there's a difference between volume and weight. They're very similar, and sometimes they're identical. But you have to be careful with your recipes that there's volume and weight. So we're going to mix the sugar with the butter. And then normally with a commercial kitchen or at home, you might have a KitchenAid or a mixer. So we're going to mix these two together, these three actually. And this is made possible because of the soft butter. So that's very important. I am trying to get through this reasonably quick so that you could see what we're doing, and then we can get on with the lab and I can answer your questions. So again, if you wanted to review this the night before, would probably be ideal. But if you reviewed it in the class right before we started, that should do. So just try to get everything in there, blend it together. It looks soft enough where I could use a whip, so I'm going to try a whip to get those lumps of brown sugar out. This is actually called the creaming method. There are several methods. There's foaming, creaming, blending. So there we go. That looks pretty good. So now we're going to add 1 egg. So the egg I want to crack into the cup in case there's a shell. And a little trick I've learned, oh, we got a shell anyhow. A little trick I've learned is to warm the egg in the shell. That way it emulsifies or blends much easier. So there goes the egg. So now we're going to mix in the egg. Can everybody see how it's creaming together? So it's emulsified, the butter, the sugar, and the egg. Then we're going to add a little vanilla, a 1/4 teaspoon. I generally eyeball it, which is just like a little bit, but I'm going to use this as a reference. So baking, you do have to be reasonably accurate with your measurements, but it's not as scientific as generally people assume it is or say it is. So far in the bowl, we've creamed together the butter, sugar, eggs, and vanilla. Now we're going to sift the flour with the leavening agent, which is baking soda. So you measure the flour into a wire mesh sieve, like you see here. Now I'm going to put in the baking soda. So everybody usually has this at home. So the baking soda is 1/2 teaspoon. This you want to be a little more accurate, so you could use a 1/2 teaspoon measuring cup, a teaspoon measure. I'm a little more experienced and I could eyeball it, so there we go. That's my 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. And why we sift it is to distribute the leavening agent evenly so we have an even rise in all the cookies. So sift it. If you have any lumps in the bottom, just kind of push them through. So now we have the dry. So this is called mix the wet, sift the dry. So we're going to add the dry to the wet. And I'm looking for my rubber spatula.